Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Volfie from our half. Oh, that's good. Hang on. From our half-acre homestead with a tea break. Now, I'm really appreciative of everybody's patience with my lack of videos. Today is September 7th, 2017, and it is the beginning of the heaviest workload. Okay, so Christmas is another heavy workload. Doesn't matter. My life is a heavy workload. I haven't been able to do a lot of videos because I'm working on that quilt. And as of today, I have exactly 1 month to have, to have it finished. Now, I've spent the last 2 days at the quilt frame in these two fingers because when I stitch, I put my other hand underneath to make sure the needle goes all the way through. And of course, my needle does. I don't know how well you can see that, but my two tips of these fingers look like hamburger. But I've gotten almost 4 rows quilted, which leaves me a little over 6 to do in a month. And I've spent the last 2 days doing nothing but quilting other than the regular stuff like unloading and loading the dishwasher, putting dogs in and out, making meals, that kind of thing. But any spare moment I've had, any spare waking moment I've had has been spent at that quilt frame. So that's what I'm working on. I'm also working on emptying the freezer for this year's butchering. Now, we used to raise a lot of meat birds and raise a lot of turkeys and raise a couple of goats or a goat and a couple of pigs. Well, it's just Papa and I. I mean, Nan's here probably 50% of the time, but she eats like a bird. And we don't eat as much meat as we used to. So in the future, as things downsize, and yes, folks, we're downsizing, I can no longer work in the garden because I can't walk. I have bad vertigo. I have a poor sense of balance now. And none of my joints work properly. So bending and weeding or bending and planting or even bending and harvesting is really dangerous for me now. So that's why Papa built the raised garden beds. And he is going to build more in the spring. We're going to knock these down, I think, for the winter, maybe. And we're going to do more raised beds next year. But in the meantime, we are downsizing. Now, it's not fair to raise one pig by itself because they're a very social animal. So the last time we only had one pig, we actually let it run with the goats. And that was an unholy romance thing going on that I just don't want to talk about because I missed the opportunity to get, never mind. Anyway, so I haven't raised any chickens for butchering this year. I did raise some, but they're going to be added to my flock. And the ones that I don't want to keep are going to be butchered and canned. I hatched a bunch of turkeys this year, but I sold them. I sold them as month-old babies because Papa hadn't finished the grow out pens, and B, we didn't need them. Ruby is the only turkey that's getting butchered this year, and she'll get butchered a couple of days before Christmas so I can brine her because she's like 4 years old, 5 years old. And the pigs are going to get butchered, and I got a doe tag this year. So that means when we go hunting, we are almost certainly guaranteed a doe. But what we want to do is go hunting first and wait for Papa's chance to get a buck. Because what happens is all the does come out in the field first. And it can be hours before a buck will be comfortable enough to come out of the bush and graze with the does. So that's why I have a doe tag, but Papa doesn't. So we want to give him his chance to get his buck first. And we're not game hunters, folks. We're not, whoa, I got a 10-point buck or whatever. Hell no, we eat that meat. So we want spikes. We want spikes. Why? Because those bucks are young and tender and delicious, and they don't have the gamey taste. So we're going to wait and see. I'll do my best to bring you to the blind with us. I got an itchy nose. It means I'm going to kiss a fool, my mother used to say. But we're going to wait and see if Papa can't get a, little spiked buck because, amongst all those does, I have a tag, so I can wait and take my doe when we are either certain Papa has a buck or certain he's not going to get one. And we've got 2 pigs. So we're going to have a chock-a-buck full freezer again this year. So I think next year when we get piglets, we may get Arthur and Mel involved and see if they don't want to come up and help us butcher. And then they can take home a cooler full of meat for their freezer. Because I don't want to raise more than 1 pig. I don't want to raise just 1 pig, but I also don't, we'll share it with the kids. We'll share it with the kids. That's all it is. Briar is not the type of person to pull frozen meat out of the freezer and cook it. He's a fast food kid, not fast food okay, he likes his Mickey D's, which happens, right? But he also is the type who will, when he shops, he'll go, okay, there's some frozen chicken breast. Boom. There's, flatbreads, spinach, mayo, lettuce, tomatoes, and he'll live on things like frozen pizza and homemade chicken wraps and stuff. So he doesn't like a lot of fuss. So he will be getting a lot of canned meat or instant meals. You've seen me make them before where I've made homemade hamburger helper and I've made homemade instant chicken and rice. As a matter of fact, so to get down to the point is I have a lot of meat left over from last year and the year before. And yesterday I started the process of canning it. That's a lot of work, folks. Sitting out on my table right now are 2 pressure cookers full of cooked chicken or poultry and broth. One canner had a goose and two or three chickens, and one had 3 or 4 chickens and a guinea fowl. And now that I've drained them, I'm in the process of chilling the broth. I'm doing a video, okay? I'm doing a video. But needless to say, when you're canning up meat from your freezer in large quantities, it takes days. Okay. Like yesterday, in between letting the dogs in and out and working on the quilt, I filled my pressure canners with meat and I put a rack in the bottom and all that stuff and water and seasonings and I pressure cooked them. Then they had to chill, not chill, but cool down overnight. Now they've been drained and all that stuff is going on. But that was yesterday. And today I'm draining and cutting up meat, and tomorrow I'm canning it. So it's a 3-day process, and I haven't even started on the pork that's left over in the freezer. So needless to say, it takes 3 days to make 1 video for that. I don't want to show it to you in stages because it's a pain in the butt. So we are downsizing. I didn't raise a lot of meat this year, except for the 2 pigs. And what venison we're going to get. Those are going to be the extent pretty much of our butchering videos this year. Now, someone has asked me if I can film the butchering process from start to finish and all the different cuts of meat. I'm sorry, I just cannot do that. Because while Papa is out there dispatching and skinning and gutting animals, I'm in the house getting stuff ready, getting brine ready for hams and female bacon. And I'm getting all my other stuff ready. So it's really, really difficult. And we don't cut up meat like a butcher. Yes, we have the bandsaw, but 9 times out of 10, while Daddy's cutting stuff up with the bandsaw, I'm in the house freezing or wrapping and freezing. So for me, in order for me to do a film on everything we do from start, from live pig to freezer, would double our time if I had to actually film each step of the process. And I don't have a cameraman. If I had a cameraman, that would be awesome. If my son was up here for butchering, my son Arthur, he would film the whole thing gladly, right? But it's just me and Daddy, right? So that's what it is. So right now I'm quilting and I am canning a lot of the meat in the freezer. That's what's going on. And it's taking a lot of my time and a lot of my energy, so I don't have a lot of time to make videos. But I am doing a video on the canning of the meat in the freezer. It just takes a few days. Papa got a big kick out of your big kick out of him saying, don't look at my hair. Have you noticed I haven't said don't look at my hair today because I'm getting it cut this weekend. But he stole my line. So what I did, I've needed to cut his hair for weeks. But every time I say, okay, I got to cut your hair this weekend, he's never come to me with a time to say, okay, it's time to cut my hair. So when we did the scone video and he said, don't look at my hair, as soon as the video was over, I said, get your butt in that bathroom. I'm cutting your hair. Because I think that was his clue that he really wanted it cut. So he just sent me a text from work with a selfie of his haircut because I never thought to take a picture of it. And the light, of course, is behind him and he's not looking like he's smiling or anything. He actually looks like he's trying to figure out how to take a selfie because I don't think he's ever done one. So there's Papa's first selfie of his new haircut. So that's what's going on. I have to, and aside from the wedding quilt, which I only have a month to finish, and other than quilting it, I still have to make and sew on and then blind stitch on the binding. And then I like to wash it before it gets packed as a gift and sent away. So that's what's going on. Oh God. And Briar, see that quilt behind me? That's how much he loves that quilt. He's had that quilt since he was, I think, 10 or 11. And he wants it recovered. I'm actually making him a new quilt. And I'm making Arthur, I'm still doing Arthur's quilt, the one where I reclaimed the fabric from his grandmother's quilt, and I'm working on that. But the wedding quilt has kind of usurped all my quilting time. Even the wool shop quilt is off the frame right now because I'm working on this wedding quilt. So I doubt I will get the boys' quilts finished for Christmas. But this quilt I'm just recovering. And thank you, Giovanna, for she sent me 5.5-inch squares of t-shirt material because, as you know, Giovanna is NorthTexasTees.com. And when she was making when she makes t-shirts, sometimes the printer doesn't work right or whatever. And she sent me all these squares. So I'm just whipping together a top and a flannel back for this quilt to get it back to him because the cold weather's coming. His other quilt, he wanted me to do it in orange, purple, and green. And I've had to add colors so that I wouldn't throw up while I was working on it. But I'm not even working on it yet. So needless to say, there is a lot going on between now and my Christmas videos. And I will do my best to keep you guys posted and show you the videos as they're coming and do videos as to the best of my ability. But I'm getting old and I'm tired and it's a lot of work in butchering and canning season. And it's twice as much work when you have to video it and edit it. So you're not going to get as many between now and Christmas. But hopefully, hopefully I'll have a whole bunch of new Christmas video baking lovely things to do. All right. This is the Mrs. Volfie from our half-acre homestead saying thank you for your patience. I have to go cut up about 20 pounds of cooked poultry. Take care. God bless. I'll see you again soon.